Hi there, a pleasant good evening to you and welcome to this next installment of In Depth. I am Leon Susaran with your host for this evening, and we'll be taking your calls and we're having a discussion, an interactive discussion during the next hour or so right here on DTV 8. And tonight my guest is no stranger to any Barbician, I should say. He's well known, his voice is well known, his personality is well known. When you see him, you know him and so on. He is no other than our Member of Parliament in Berbice, Mr. Faisal Jafar Ali, and he is my guest this evening, and we'll be dealing with a few issues tonight on our program. As we know, the latest development that took place over the past week was that a date for elections was announced, and so we have now moved in to the full swing into election season, we meaning Guyanese, moving into election season. Mr. Jaff, welcome to our program this evening. And
thank you very much, Leon. It's a pleasure to be on your program, and it's somewhat difficult to be on the other side of the chair. I'm accustomed to being on that side of the chair, but I'm on the other side, more or less in the hot seat tonight.
All right, so yes, Mr. Jaff says he's in the hot seat, and we're going to have a very nice program this evening, and I see the phones are already ringing. MP, let us talk about electricity. A lot has happened over the past week, especially as it relates to electricity in the region. Here to address the topic of electricity.
I think electricity is one of the many success stories of the People's Progressive Party civic government. In Berbice, we have about 120,000 residents in Berbice. When we took office in 1992, less than 30% of that 120 person in Berbice had electricity. Today, we can boast about 98% across Berbice are receiving electricity, many for the first time. Only a couple of days ago, Angais Avenue, for example, more than 4,000 residents are receiving electricity. And Leon, I recall many years ago how the PNC discriminate against people for electricity. When the power plant was first planted in Canefield to supply electricity to Berbice, the residents of Canefield were excluded, and the same power plant supplied electricity to areas of the quarantine. We are happy that many communities under the PPP civic government, areas such as Brothers, Sisters, Cadbrad, Little India, Little Africa, Gangaram, Betsy Grong, Blackbush Polder, many of the new housing schemes, for example, Adelphi New Area, Canefield New Area, Fort Ordnance, Anchorville, Bloomfield, number 77, number 76, all these communities are having electricity. And as I said, more than 98% of the residents of Berbice are having electricity. Of course, there are perhaps a couple of houses in a particular street that came on later on. For example, we were in number 62 village. And when we were doing our walkabout with the Honorable Prime Minister, we went down into the backlands of number 62. And there's a street that came on recently, about 11 houses. And now we are making, we are trying to see how best we can give those 11 residents at number 62 electricity. And as I said, there are pockets here and there, 1 or 2 residents who's yet to receive electricity. But on the whole, electricity is another success story of the PPP civic government.
Electricity, another success story of the PPP civic government. 98% of Barbicians now receiving electricity, with the latest being Angais Avenue. Honorable Prime Minister was just there and MP was also there. And you made a point that the New Amsterdam Mayor and Town Council has been receiving subvention, and recall what you told the residents.
Angais Avenue is part of the municipality of New Amsterdam. Angais Avenue. This government provides to the municipality of New Amsterdam subvention between $10, $14, $15 million annually. But not a cent is being spent in development Angais Avenue. It was this government, the PPP civic government, that ensured that roads are developed in Angais Avenue, drainage system is developed in Angais Avenue, telephones are installed in Angais Avenue, they have a health center in Angais Avenue, they have a nursery school in Angais Avenue, they have a play field in Angais Avenue, and the latest addition being electricity in Angais Avenue. So the residents of Angais Avenue has benefited directly from central government. That is additional to the many other projects we are doing in New Amsterdam. For example, all the streets in New Amsterdam were rehabilitated by the PPP government. The market that generates revenue for the municipality of New Amsterdam was rehabilitated by this present administration. And therefore, one sometimes wants to ask, what is the municipality is doing with the rates and taxes and the revenue they generated from the market? Because the residents of New Amsterdam are not getting the benefits they ought to get from the municipality because they are paying the rates and taxes. You talk to the business community, the garbage is not being picked up in a timely manner. And so many things are happening. And of course, residents need to understand that the municipality of New Amsterdam is governed or managed by the PNC, up to whatever name he wants to call them. Because whether it's PNC or PNC 1 Guyana or PNCR or APNU, it's the same personnel there. But as a government, we believe we have a responsibility to ensure that development takes place across Guyana. Whether community vote for the PPP or not, we have to ensure as a government, because we are government for all Guyanese. So we have been working in all communities, and we are proud of our track records as we look what is happening in the electricity area, particularly in the social sector. And when we talk about the social sector, we're talking about health, education, housing, electricity, drainage and irrigation, potable water. Look at the education system today. You yourself being an educator can testify to see the development that is taking place in the education sector. Before 1992, the PNC government used to deliberately fail our students who wrote, then was the common entrance examination, because there were not enough places at secondary school. So if 5,000 children wrote the exam, there were only probably about 500 places. Therefore, 4,500 children were deliberately failed by that administration. Today, we have seen a different scenario, that every single child has an opportunity for secondary education. And Leon, as an educator, you will notice we have already achieved universal education at the primary level, where every single child has an opportunity to acquire primary education. In another 2 years or so, we'll have universal education at the secondary level, where every single child, whether you live here in New Amsterdam, whether you live at Oriala or Siparuta, whether you live at Sanford, whether you live at Blankbush Polder, you have an opportunity to attend secondary school. And because the way the education sector, Leon, is being managed, we have seen students from the rural community are performing extremely well. You will know, as a young person, I will know this, many years ago when the CXC results are out, or the grade 6 or the common entrance exam, as is known to us, all the top students will come from where? Queen's College, May, Stella Maris. Tell you what is happening. New Amsterdam Multilateral School is bringing the top student in CXC. Anna Regina Multilateral School. Skellen Limpad Secondary School. And in terms of grade 6 examination, Rosal Kanji, Albion, and other places across the country, even in the Rukurununi, we are having top students coming. It is because of the resources that are available in the education sector, and we believe very much in educating our nation, and education takes the biggest pie of our national budget. And we ensure that the resources is spread evenly across all the administrative regions. Therefore, every single child can and will benefit from the resources that are available in the education sector. In addition to the uniform assistance, feeding program, and more recently, the 10,000 cash voucher was given to every single child who attends the public sector school. And therefore, that is also a success story. Today, from being the bottom of the pit, our students are now topping the Caribbean. And I'm certain you yourself as an educator will be proud of that.
Certainly, certainly. We are having a discussion tonight, and my host, my guest, you see, he's so accustomed to be being seen as a host, but tonight he's my guest on In Depth, MP, Member of Parliament, Mr. Faisal Jafar Ali, and we're dealing with the different issues tonight. We'll be opening up the phone lines in a few minutes to take your calls and comments. This is a weekly program, and it's a program that features guests from the PPP administration every week, and perspectives from the administration as it relates to different issues affecting us, especially at this time. Mr. Jaff, a date for elections was announced, and we are now full swing into election mode.
I'm happy His Excellency the President, President Amla Ramatar, has now formally announced to the nation that Guyanese will be going to the poll on May the 11th. I think this announcement brings to an end all the propaganda, all the fear the opposition was instilling in the minds of Guyanese that this government is afraid of election. The PPP as a political party is never ever afraid to go to our people. Our records are there, and we are confident because of our record that the people will return the PPP seat to office and we will gain our majority in Parliament. Yes, the date is fixed, and so all the propaganda that we don't want election and we are afraid of election, all of that that the opposition has been saying is now laid to rest because His Excellency the President has decided and has announced to the nation after being advised by the Guyana Election Commission, because he ought to be advised that GCOM is in a state of readiness for election. So May the 11th, Guyanese will be going to the poll, and I'm certain that they will give the PPP their mandate with a larger majority.
Being someone directly connected with the cabinet and having, I'm sure you have daily interactions with the hierarchy of the party, could you update Barbicians as to any preview of this manifesto, this vision, this next vision for the PPP? What they have in store? What could be in store?
Our manifesto from 1992 has been an ongoing, because development is a process. You know, we started in 1992, and we have seen we have continuously developing Guyana. For example, we recognize the importance of job creation for our young people, particularly so. While the opposition is talking about the importance of young people and they want to ensure that young people is so, they are talking all about young people, but the actions are telling us different. This government recognizes that job creation is important, and that is why we are investing in big projects so that young people can be given high-paying jobs. For example, had the Milo Falls came onto stream and not been knocked down in the national budget, National Assembly, sorry, by the combined opposition, meaning the AFC and the APNU, that would have seen tremendous job creation. We are young Guyanese from across our country would be employed. And in addition to that, the electricity rates would have reduced significantly. When we look at the studies, it will be reduced at least by 20 to 40% that consumers pay. In addition to that, goods and service will also be reduced because manufacturing takes a large, in any manufacturing company, a large chunk goes towards electricity. So we will pursue the Amilas Fall. His Excellency the President has made it very clear that the Amilas Fall project will continue. And Leon, I need to make this point. In the manifesto of both the APNU and the AFC, they all talked about hydropower, the importance of hydropower and the benefits of hydropower. But when the PPP decided that they will go ahead with such a program, haven't we been able to get the investors to come? Our part, the government part, was to build the road. We built the road, and the investors already would have got the money to spend $800 million US for the investment of the project, hydro project itself, which would have benefited significantly. They knocked that down. The Cherry Jagan International Airport, the expansion of that airport would have generated another couple hundreds of jobs for young people. And we will pursue with the Cherry Jagan International Airport because tourism is an important sector in any country. It generates a lot of revenue, right? And once our airport are modernized and our runway are expanded, there are about 15 airlines, big airlines, that is ready to come to Guyana. But because our runway is small, they cannot accommodate the size of plane that these airlines operate in. So we will continue to work on the expansion of the Cherry Jagan International Airport and things of that nature. So it will be an exciting time for the next 5 years when the PPP Civic return to office, because I'm certain that we will return to office after May 11th.
An exciting time for the next 5 years, says our guest tonight. Let's talk about the Guyana Sugar Corporation, Skeldon, the performance of the other estates in the crops this year and so on.
Kaisuko has been going through some difficulties. No doubt about that. It's public knowledge that Gaisuko has been going through some difficulties, and this did not start yesterday. This has nothing to do with the management of Gaisuko. This has nothing to do with the workers of Gaisuko. It started many years ago when EU cut the price we were receiving then on the open market, that preferential price we had at the EU. They cut it, and since then we've been facing difficulties. But we, as a government, our policy is very clear. We will not allow Gaisuko to go under. Gaisuko is so much an industry. It means a lot to Guyanese, right? It employed thousands, more than 16,000 employees at Gaisuko. If you close Gaisuko today, what will happen to the lives of these workers and their families, and those who benefit indirectly from Gaisuko? But a strange thing is happening in the political opposition. One former member of parliament of the PNC, Mr. Anthony Vera, was quoted in the newspaper, both the Kaichur News and the Starbuck News, that he would like to see Gaisuko close. As a matter of fact, he said very clearly that Gaisuko should stop planting cane and mine tilapia. In other words, he's saying close Gaisuko. But what is most surprising, the very next day, Kemraj Ramjatan, the leader of the AFC, was quoted in very same newspapers, the Kaichur News and the Starbuck News, that he, Anthony Kemraj, leader of the AFC, supports the view. He supports the view of Anthony Vera, an PNC member of parliament, that we should stop planting cane and mine tilapia. The former Minister of Finance, during his presentation in the 2030 national budget, when he was talking and making his presentation, he said something that very much annoyed me as a Berbician and as a member of the PPP, and annoyed the entire PPP member of parliament and leadership. He said when he was speaking that the sugar workers' problem is not their problem, it's our problem, and he was pointing to us across the government. In other words, he is saying the opposition is not concerned what happened to sugar workers. They are not concerned that if guys close tomorrow, what will happen to the lives of our sugar workers and their family. Fortunate for me, I spoke just after Mr. Carl Greenidge, and I responded by saying this. I said, I would like to quote what Mr. Carl Greenidge just said, but for us, the PPP, we have no apology. The sugar workers of this country will always be the concern of the PPP civic government. And I made it very clear that the PPP civic government has absolutely no intention of closing the sugar industry, because we are a caring government, and we will continue to support Gaisuko until it has a turn around. And very shortly, we have seen indication that Gaisuko is going to turn around and stand on its own again. We recall the incident some years ago when bauxite was going down. The government pumped resources into the bauxite industry. So if Gaisuko is having a challenging period, a difficult period, what is wrong that the government of Guyana puts money into Gaisuko so that Gaisuko can get itself together and start performing well again? We have reached the target for this year, and it's good indication Gaisuko is going to turn around. We have absolutely confidence in the capacity of the management. We have absolute confidence in sugar workers that they will work together to ensure that Gaisuko return to the days of profitability.
Absolute confidence in sugar workers.
Yes, certainly. We have no doubt.
He is very positive that the sugar industry, there will be a turnaround. Let's take our first call. Our lines are now open. Just be brief and just turn on your television set when you call. And let us stick to our topic tonight: the electricity, education, Gaisuko, and elections and so on. Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, Soren. Good night.
Good night.
I'm calling from Sewell.
Yes, go ahead.
I am an activist and I go house to house. And many people are saying that when they watch the Walter Rodney issue, they are saying that what happened, the PPP already, if PNC get rid of Walter Rodney, the PPP get rid of Satidiosa. And they are also saying, until now, they have it in their mind, saying that up to now, Bharat is getting 3 million per month. So I want you to clarify the issue, Mr. Jaffer Ali. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller. Very interested point raised by that caller. The Commission of Inquiry into depth of this dynamic historian, international recognized, individual, Dr. Walter Rodney. And what is coming out of the Commission of Inquiry is very revealing. Very, very revealing. And these evidence are not from PPP members, are from the community, even former members of the House of Israel, who testify before the Commission of Inquiry how the PNC government, and mind you, David Granger, the honorable leader of the opposition, was in the second in command of the army. Second in command of the army. Therefore, he has knowledge who was given the House of Israel and other PNC top-notch guns, and who is responsible for the death of Dr. Walter Rodney. And I'm happy that Barbicians are following the Commission of Inquiry. The PNC said very clearly they don't want to take part in the Commission of Inquiry. What are you afraid of? Come to the Commission of Inquiry, give your evidence, tell the Guyanese people exactly what you know about the death of Dr. Walter Rodney. It is very clear. We did not need a Commission of Inquiry to tell us that the PNC is responsible for the death of Dr. Walter Rodney. We didn't need a Commission of Inquiry. Every Guyanese know that. Similarly, every Guyanese knew who was responsible for the death of those two young individuals in 1973 elections at number 63 Newmarket School. Here again, David Granger was in the high command of the army. And therefore, I agree with His Excellency the President when he said that David Granger needs to tell the Guyanese who has the 145 high-power rifle that was missing from the army. The President may tell him to come forward and tell the Guyanese people. And these are the very people we see today wants to be the leader of this country. I come and touch another important point, the pension of Bharat Jagdeo. This has been a propaganda issue for the AFC at the last election. First of all, let me say this. The contribution of the former President, Dr. Bharat Jagdeo, to Guyana is unbelievable. He has made a significant contribution. No other president before him has made that contribution. No other president of Guyana has transformed Guyana to what it is today. And therefore, all Guyanese should be thankful for Bharat Jagdeo. Bharat Jagdeo's pension is nothing more than nothing less than what the former presidents received. What Dr. Bharat Jagdeo is receiving as his pension is what Kamajana Jagan received. Is what Desmond Hoyt received. Is what Arthur Chung received. It is stated very clearly in the Constitution, the calculation as regards to the president's pension. So all this fuss about the president's pension is nothing new. Right? The Constitution is very clear. What he is receiving is what the other presidents receive. So I think they have to stop that nonsense about former President Bharat Jagdeo's pension.
Good evening, caller. You're on the air. Please speak up.
Hi, good evening.
Good night.
Mr. Jafrali, good evening.
Go ahead.
Mr. Jafrali?
Good night, sir.
Hi, good night. I'm calling from Coventry in the west coast of Berbice,
Yes, sir.
region number 5.
Yes, sir.
I have a little problem here. I'm a die-hard PP supporter.
Thank you very much, sir. Continue to support the
For
PPP.
26 years now.
Continue to support the PPP, sir.
Yeah, I will continue, but...
What's the problem?
There is a problem going on, and we are not having any response from the Regional Democratic Council here or the NDC office here.
Yes, sir. What's the problem?
We have some allegation with some drainage problem here that's going on for the past 3 months now.
Mm-hmm.
Some stuff that was in the canal that was allocated to people to clean it. Suddenly the problem was stopped. A gone to the MMA, they haven't gone to the NDC. When I talked to the NDC chairman, Honorable Mistress Padmani, she's the NDC chairman for the Rosenthal Zealot NDC, she said that the program will continue to go on. I make recommendation to the Council of Cotton that we like an important meeting with her immediately, because certain residents go against the party, the PP Civic Party. And the PP Civic Party is the only party that we know that could take Guyana forward. And without that allegation, we think that we need more representatives to come to this community and have like little meetings, little talk to this resident, because their minds have been changed for the PP.
Thank you very much, comrade.
I have one more allegation I would like to make before I close. And I make also a recommendation to the council that I would like to see the regional chairman, Honorable Mr. Bisnott. When that recommendation was made, Mr. Bisnott said he have a very important meeting at Fairfield with the Honorable President Donald Ramutar. I said, okay, no problem. Can you see the vice chairman? The vice chairman is living in the community at the same time here. And you know that people is going against the PP government because of the local representative, that's what we have in power. And I feel that these little matters could be done before we go to the higher stages.
All right, caller.
Like to Mr. Jaffer, if you could come to the community.
Thank you.
With us, you know.
Thank you very much, caller. Let me say this. First of all, I want you to continue to support the People's Progressive Party, and you're right, the PPP is the only political party. The PPP civil government is the only government can really bring development to Guyana. As related to the other issue you raised, if you can call me on my cell phone, and I'll give it to you now, 622-1081, tomorrow's, I say Monday morning, I can make arrangements for myself and the regional chairman to visit that community they're talking about. I have a slight idea about the drainage canal you're talking about. Some of the residents want this to be desilted, and another set does not want the drainage to pass through their private land. But if you can call me on Monday at 622-1081, I'll be more than grateful to come across there and probably have the regional chairman and the vice chairman, and we can have a discussion. Thanks for calling.
Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Just a couple of things. I've listened to Mr. Jaffer Ali speaking of the projects that were being opposed by the opposition. But when we look at the location of these projects, we realize that they would not have an effect in Berbice. So, first question, what plans in the future does the party or the government, if the government should go back, have for the employment of youth in Berbice, and especially in Region 6?
All right, caller. What you said? Location of projects. What projects are you talking about?
The one that I
the expansion of the airport,
And that wouldn't have an effect in Berbice? All right.
Let me
and people address you.
Let me finish and then Mr. Jaffer Ali can reply.
Go ahead. Be brief.
Yeah. The other thing is a contract was granted to North Construction for the East Bank Road, and that was since November. And then last evening I was looking at the TV, and I saw that Mr. Depth Berbice and so they were surprised that nothing had started on that contract, yet it's here in Region 6. Of course, somebody should have been overlooking that contract.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. Thanks for your call. Very good point. Let me say the specialty hospital, despite being located in Region 4, would have benefited all Guyana. Because someone is sick, probably needs a heart transplant, or has some problem with cancer or something of that nature. Certainly that person would have benefited in a significant way on the specialty hospital being in Region 4. The Amilas Fall, despite being in the interior, would have benefited all Guyana. And we need sometimes to understand that job creation for us in the United States of America, many Guyanese travel hours sometimes to go to work. 3-4 hours to and fro to work. So this project would have benefited all Guyanese. The other issue raised about the Mara Road, the East Bank Road. Yes, I had 2 community meetings at Mara Trade and Platanka, and I was somewhat disappointed that contractor have not yet started the work, but I've been informed that work started yesterday on the East Bank Public Road. Thanks to caller for those questions.
Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Thank you for the try to teach the people. They are very worried about what they are doing.
Speak up, please.
They are fools. Jagdev is the only man that brought this country up. He is the man who made this country livable. And he has done a lot, and he deserves that. The death right after the road is more than what he's getting. So don't worry about that. The day the people's election, this country gone on the drain. So tell the fools, AFC cannot win election. And it's up to our election, and we gone on the drain again. So let's be careful, and this is what I'm saying.
So just turn on your television set, please, and then continue.
Yes, I am saying that the day the PPP lose an election, this country gone on the drain.
All right.
And Bharat has done a lot. He has made this country livable. And there no other one did what he did. So people don't let it try. If they're going back to mess again, sorry for them.
Okay, caller. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Yes, His Excellency, the former President Jagdi has done, as you said, and I agree with you, has done a lot for Guyana. But importantly, what he's receiving as pension is nothing more or less what the former president received. And that's the point I'm trying to make. And this is what the opposition cannot understand. What Dr. Jagdi is receiving as his presidential pension is what Desmond Hoyt received. It's what Forbes Burnham received. It's what Arthur Chung received. It's what His Excellency Janet Jagan received. It's nothing more or less. And I agree that the contribution that Dr. Jagdi made for Guyana is of great significance. And all Guyanese, the call is correct, all Guyanese should be grateful to have a president of that nature.
And we're continuing our discussion tonight with my guest, Member of Parliament, Mr. Faisal Jafar Ali, and he's no stranger to any Barbician. He's quite active across the region every day. If you see him on Facebook, he travels a lot and he documents them through the social media, all the meetings and all of the outreaches and so on that takes place. The phone lines are open, and hello? Good evening, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I was listening to the program and I heard Mr. Jafari. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Please don't cut me off. I'm a PPP supporter.
Go ahead, sir.
Just one in this East Bank area.
Yeah.
So, but my question is that for $300 million contract that not yet, and you are quoted as saying that now that you don't even know if the road starts, somebody from the region should have known that they have to overlook that kind of money, that's taxpayers' money. Come on.
All right, let me answer you. Thank you very much, sir. The contract was awarded by the Ministry of Public Works, and therefore they would have got their people to check and see what North is doing. But what I'm saying, when I went into the community for a community meeting, here the residents are telling me that nothing has done. And therefore I said the contract will start, and the excuse he's making, that was annoying to me, the excuse that he made, that rain is falling. Rain was not falling in November and in December. But I'm happy to hear that the work has now commenced for the East Bank Public Road. And I know the other contractor is also doing some work from the Stanleyton, that's Islington to Burma, and the work is ongoing there by the other contractor. So I want to thank Mr. North, and the other contractor, I think, is Mr. Peter Lewis. They are now both working on the East Bank Road.
Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Good night, sir.
Please speak up.
Mr. Jafari, can you please answer me if there is job for any employment in Berbice for a new employee?
Employment in Berbice?
Yes, if new people in the work there. You name me one place you can get a job.
All right.
Where's that?
He wants to know if you can name a place that you can get a job in Berbice, where you can get a job.
I think there are many jobs available. If one open the national newspaper on any given day, you will see the amount of vacancy in Guyana. But sometimes, unfortunately, we want a job just in our backyard. And sometimes it is not always available in our backyard. But there are jobs available for a number of areas. This government has been working with the private sector. We believe that the private sector should be the engine of growth. We have been working with the private sector in the creation of jobs. We very shortly will see the deep water harbor coming here in Berbice. A large call center is coming here in Berbice. And over the years, we have seen more and more business are shifting to Berbice. Look at the number of commercial banks we have in Berbice. The number of business that once or in Georgetown are now coming to Berbice. So I will say there's job. Of course, I'm the first to admit that we need to work much more to create more jobs for Barbicians and Guyanese as a whole.
Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hello. Hello, gentlemen. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Mr. Duff, how are you?
Good, sir. Thank you for calling.
Okay. This is please listen to me carefully, right?
Yes, sir.
This concerns the Boshed in Bushlat here.
Bushlat.
I'm calling from Bushlat.
Yes, sir.
Now, sir, on many occasions we spoke to the vice chairman, and you know, because of his on the bridge, the Boshed was broke up. Now, every time we spoke to him, you see he was gone on his phone calling some contractor. Now, I want to tell you this, sir. The people are very much agitated about it, and they're planning to take to the street. I am telling you this. So please, and then that bridge, that shed is not the NDC shed. Is former students from the school. They built that shed, and they want an exact shed like that. So please, I am telling you as a representative, see what you can do, because the vice chairman, every time we spoke to him, he gone on the phone, called some contractor, and I don't know, he's still here.
Okay,
thank you, caller. Let me say this, and we need to understand that it was an accident that causes the shed to collapse. It was not something deliberate that the vice chairman's son, has damaged it. It was an accident. I am not certain if the vice chairman has made a commitment to rebuild the bus shed, but I know the vice chairman is a man of integrity, a very honest individual. I have known him personally, and certainly I will have a chat with him tomorrow, certainly, or probably tonight I will call him and find out from him exactly what level of commitment he has made. I agree with the caller, it was not an NDC shed, it was built by former students of Bushlat Secondary School. So thank the caller for calling.
Good night, caller, you're on the air.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
A long time didn't see you only in election day, you see all the ministers and so.
That is not true. Mr.
Okay.
Suzaran just said about my work in Berbice.
Okay. Disabled people putting for public assistance. Then give them 6 months and then take it away back.
All right.
All right.
That's one. I want to tell you something more. You get a trench near the Portmoran Primary School?
Yeah.
You ever watch the trench condition? Then dug it one time,
Yeah.
and then threw all the garbage. They threw all the garbage in front of me.
In front of you?
Yes.
All right.
And nobody now come and get it out from there.
You called last week about the same matter?
No.
Oh.
Oh, we concern was, well, people are
About
throwing
the
garbage there
garbage.
too. Presently get a dead dog there.
Okay.
And I'm stinking here.
Okay.
And I'm flooding too.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks for calling. Public assistance. Public assistance is just what it is, public assistance. And public assistance has a period of 6 months. And then we need to reapply, we need to have an assessment of the individual. If it's something totally disabled, and we know a number of people who are totally disabled, then it can continue. But public assistance is just what it is, public assistance. But if the caller has a genuine concern of someone that she knows that deserves to be given public assistance, it would be great if that caller can call me probably on Monday morning at 622-1081, and I'm certain I will be able to look into the matter and see what level of assistance can be given to that individual.
Go ahead, caller, you're on the air. night.
Good night.
Good night to Mr. Zafarali and the other fellow down there. Mr. Zafarali.
Hi, dear.
I have a concern concerning this high dam inside by the first bridge.
High Dam.
Yes.
You're talking about Bodam Dam?
No, not for that dam. The dam before this, just by the first bridge.
The dam before Bodan's Dam?
Yes.
Okay, dear, ahead.
Right? We went in several times to Mr. Mustafa when he was the chairman. Concerning the dam, because as soon as the ball was set, and we went in several times, did promises that was never fulfilled. We went in several times to Mr. Amazon, myself, husband, neighbors, and stuff like that. They have made promises, but it's a promise after they would have done 250 feet.
Electricity for the residents there?
Not electricity, the dam.
The dam. Tell me something. Is that dam is what is known as the Bristol Dam? Pardon me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know, Bristol, but there's some dispute and we need to work that out. Government will not bill or put taxpayers' money into private property. And Bristol is claiming the dam or the area there. And therefore, we need to work with the residents and see what can come out, even they can have individual title, transport, whatever it is. But as it stands now, the Mr. Bristol is claiming the dam, and that's private property. But I will have a chat with our regional chairman. Our regional chairman is very approachable. I know he goes the extra mile to bring help to residents, just like Ahmad Zulfikar Mustafa, our former regional chairman, who was very, very proactive in the community. So I'll talk to the present regional chairman. I know he's a person, once he has the resources, will go beyond the call to ensure he does things for residents.
So we have the Member of Parliament here tonight and in depth, and we're taking your calls. We want to look at the national issues. You know, elections are coming. So we know the community issues are there and will always be there. So let's take your comments on the various issues, elections, politics, and so on. Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good night.
Good night.
I'm calling from Clifton Settlement.
Clifton?
Yes.
Okay.
You get people living all over this place. And them throwing garbage, you clean up the place, them throwing garbage all on the road. That them pay a madman, and the madman bring all the rubbish and throw it in the drain, throw it on the road, and then leave it, the garbage fly all in people's yard and all over them plastic of flies.
Okay.
So we need somebody to do something.
Thank you, Paul. I'm happy you've made that point, an important point. And therefore, residents need to take some level of responsibility in the manner in which we dispose of our garbage, particularly so household garbage. You know, the very resident who will throw his garbage anyway, if he or she goes to the United States or any other country, for the time they get into the plane, and if they have to take a sweetie, then ensure that sweetie paper gets into your pocket. And therefore, I agree that there need to be some level of enforcement so they ensure that the residents dispose of the garbage in a very timely manner, dispose it in such a way that it will not affect another residents. It needs to have a community effort, some level of education, public education in terms of garbage and things of that nature.
Good night, caller. You're on the air. Hello? Go ahead.
Yeah. Is that what you told me?
All right, we're taking your calls. We just have about 50 minutes remaining on the program tonight on this edition of In Depth. Good evening, caller. You're on the air. Hello?
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
I'm calling. I would like to all the listeners of the supporters from the other party, if they could listen to them properly and listen to your program properly, and then they should realize what the PPP is doing for our country.
I didn't get the call clearly.
Just go over your point.
I said I would like all the PPP supporters who keep gathering themselves around to listen to the other parties' program as well as yours, the PPP party, yours, and find the difference between. Acknowledge the difference, in fact.
Okay,
And they should realize what we went through for the past 28 years. And I don't think anyone should forget what happened during those times.
Alright, okay, Carl.
Seems a very young caller, but she's probably sure heard from her parents the difficulties, the hardship, the harassment that took place under the PNC for 28 years. But just to say that the other political parties are free to have their program. This is a democratic country. We have opened up the airwaves. There are a number of television stations. There are a number of print newspapers. And this is a paid political program. So other political parties are free to have political program of this nature to talk to Barbicians. Nothing is wrong with that. We are not only having political programs, but we go in the community. I just came from a meeting from Adelphi in Kanji, where I spoke to the residents in East Kanji. My other colleagues were other parts of Berbice, other parts of Guyana. So we have a series of meetings interacting, because we are never afraid. Leon, this party is never afraid to interact with our people. Whether whatever they do, we have a program to interact with our residents, to let them know what is happening nationally, to know what is happening in terms of in the community, the development taking place in the community. We have a responsibility to all Guyanese. As I said, the PPP will continue to work among all Guyanese, wherever you live.
Could you address the Alliance for Change, a partnership for national unity, so-called coalition that is in the air at the moment?
Let me say this. I am not surprised at all about the secret talks that is ongoing with the AFC and the APNU. I am not surprised at all. I say this because as a member of parliament to the 10th parliament, I have seen how the AFC behaves in parliament. And it reminds me that when we were campaigning during the 2011 national elections, we warned Guyanese, we warned Barbicians that if they voted for the AFC, they were in fact voting for the APNU. That became a reality in the 10th parliament. Every single bill that the government takes to parliament during the 10th parliament, the AFC voted with and together with the AFC, with the APNU. Every single bill. And viewers, Barbicians, we can prove that. The records of parliament, what is known as the Hansard, capture word to word what we say in parliament. And the record is there to show that every single thing, every single piece of bill that we took to the National Assembly, the AFC voted with and together with the APNU. So I'm not surprised they're having secret talks. Unfortunately, when they come to Berbice under this very channel, they tell Barbicians they will not join the APNU, that they are an independent party. Today, they are in secret talks. Secret talks. Not only talking, but they demand that whatever they are telling APNU, that the rest of us, the rest of Barbician, the rest of Guyanese, ought not to know what they are discussing. The question I want to ask Barbician, the question I want to ask Guyanese, can't you ever trust the AFC? Can't you ever trust the AFC based on their actions in the 10th parliament, and now they are in secret talks with the APNU? And I want to warn Barbicians again. We have to be careful. We are approaching a very important elections. Very, very important elections. It took us 28 years to get rid of the PNC dictatorship. 28 years of hard struggle. Many Guyanese, many Barbicians have paid the ultimate price. Many have paid the ultimate price. Fighting, struggling for the restoration of democracy, fighting to have our votes come to the place of poll. It was not an easy struggle. Cherry Jagan and the PPP never gave up. Today, we hear those who say they fall in Cherry Jagan Aide, Moses Nagamutu, and Ramjatan, and Ramaya, and Charandas. They believe in Cherry Jagan. And today, they are in talks with the AFC, the APNU. The APNU is on a name change, you know. It's the same personnel, the same PNC that created dictatorship, that harassed Guyanese. Many were locked up, and so many things happened to Guyanese. Many had to run. You know, Blackbush Polar, for example. Many rice farmers run from Blackbush Polar. Today, every square inch of land that is available for rice production is occupied. We are nearly over 600,000 tons of rice for this year, last year, a record, right? It is because people are now returning to the land. And as I said, Leon, I'm not surprised. I know they will talk and who will concede and who will not concede, but it will come out to the end, and we will all see. But Barbicians, I warn you, don't ever trust the AFC. They come here and say one thing in one breath, they go to Linden and say another thing, and they go to Lethem and say another thing. But whatever I said here on DTV8 tonight, I can go to Georgetown and any television station and say the same thing. I can go to Linden and say the same thing. What I said in that Delphi this afternoon, that community meeting, I can go to Platanka and say the same thing. I can go to Oriel and the same thing. Because we have one policy, and that is to enhance the quality of life of all Guyanese.
Good night, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, good night. How are you? Good night, Jeff Raleigh. How are you?
Good night. Thanks, Ryan.
Okay. I just called concerning my light.
Your light?
Yeah.
What happened to your light, please?
Last year, July, I gonna apply for my current transported land.
Where you living, please?
In Bryant, Bristol scheme.
Bristol Street, you have a transported property?
Yeah.
Okay.
And well, I go into them and apply for my license. When I go, that I have to hold on, but the boys them come away and come and check and so. But my brother living right next to me and he have light. So that I have to get a post. I go and I bought a post, but I didn't buy it from GPL. Go and I put on my post, and then when they come and so, them check it out and so, them say how they got to measure the span and what. So I tell them, I say, man, you could join from a brother, attach my brother to my post, because it's okay if he attach my post and just stretch it. They say how I have to hold on, and the thing got to go to some TND or TAT, I don't even know where. Anyway, and they decide to go into GPL, and when I go, they say the paper come back from TND, and the length to the wire with the post, I got to buy back a fresh post, 142,000. So this is what I want. Well, last time I was watching the program with Armagon, Mr. Armagon, and he said that every Guyanese have a right to have current. So
certainly every Guyanese has that right to have electricity.
Yeah.
No doubt about that.
Yeah, so that is what I want to know, but what is the next step?
But you have any electricity?
No, I don't have any.
All right, can you call me on Monday, as tomorrow is Sunday, GPL would not be, office would not be open. Okay. Call me on 622-1081.
Hold on for me. Bring my cell phone. Give me the pen. Look. Thank you. What is the number?
622 1081.
1081.
Call me on Monday, or if it is possible, bring all your documents at NCN, that's in TI Compound.
Okay.
Anytime before 10 o'clock on Monday morning. So I can look at it and probably call the relevant officer as it relates to your electricity. The East Bank Road, we are waiting for funds to be released from the IDB, because it's a large sum of money to do the portion from Islington to Edinburgh, because the present road on the surface is water soaked. We have to do a lot of work. The road, we made a commitment to the people of East Bank of Berbice that we are going to fix the road. In the meantime, we will continue to do maintenance work.
Mr. Jaff, what do you want to, as we close about a minute or so, some people may have voted AFC the last election and so on, disenfranchised supporters of the BB. Tie that into your closing comments. What do you want to say?
Leon, let me say this. I'm very confident by our records that we will return to office with a bigger majority in Parliament. I think the people, Barbicians and those who have voted, as you said, for the AFC the last election, has been looking, has been watching, has been observing the actions of the AFC during the 10th Parliament in the National Assembly. They have saw all the antics. They have saw all the budget cuts, the chopping, the waving of the scissors by Moses Nagamutu. The joining of forces with the APNU to stall development, to stifle development in Berbice and across Guyana. And now they're in secret talks. My appeal to Barbicians, the PPP civic government has been on the side of the working people of this country. We have done enormous amount of work in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of housing, in terms of electricity, in terms of community roads, potable water. I think we have done a significant job, but yes, there's much more to do. And we want you to go there on May 11. Let your conscience be your guide. Don't worry with the propaganda with the AFC and the APNU. You know, you listen to some of them, you know, it amazes me that when they do programs of this nature, this total disrespect they got for people. One Mark Ross on the west coast of Berbice, you know, he's totally disrespecting, calling the president all sorts of name. Mr. Charandas doing the same thing. By their actions, you can see the kind of people they are. Now they're in secret talks. And therefore, Barbicians, let us be careful. It's an important election. It is necessary for us to return the PPP civic to office so that the development that we started will continue and enhance the life of all Guyanese. Leon, it's a pleasure being on your program.
Thank you very much, Member of Parliament, Mr. Jaff, for being here. And thank you, viewers, for watching and for calling in. And I'll see you sometime soon.